So today I want to talk about EV servicing. There's a lot of oh my god, hiding. There's a lot of misunderstandings about it, and the general media has really portrayed that EV cars are, you buy it and then you just don't have to do anything with it. Maintenance wise, there's nothing at all, which is half true and half not completely true. I do take my EV servicing every 3 to 4 months. I think the Hyundai recommended servicing for me is about 3 or 4,000 kilometers. I'm not entirely sure, but it's every but I generally take it like at least 4 times a year, so every 3 to 4 months depending on how much I travel. And you might think that's quite a lot because EV cars are sold with the whole notion that you don't need to service them as much because there aren't that many moving parts, there aren't just that many parts in general that need to be serviced, which is true. It is entirely true compared to a regular petrol, gasoline car, diesel car engine. This does not have pistons, it does not have moving parts, it does not have a belt, it does not need lubricants. That whole engine oil thing, it's non-existent in this car. So in that respect, it is true. However, this is also Nepal and Kathmandu that we drive in, and the roads aren't exactly the best around here, so I guess my thinking at least is it's better to be safe than sorry when it comes to maintaining your EV. Here's the main caveat with having an EV. Yes, running costs are low. I'm not just talking about the unit cost of petrol versus electricity, but just less servicing is needed, less change of parts are needed. But the upshot of all of this is that the parts generally are more expensive in this. Like if you do need to replace something, if you do have a faulty something and it doesn't come out under warranty. So in such conditions, I definitely do think the costs even out here and there. So it's more of a pick your poison. Do you want a higher cost at the end, or do you want just repeated costs along the way? It's almost 40,200 kilometers. So the thing is, in this much, I haven't had to change anything much yet. I'll talk about what I've changed in my car. It's not 100% stock as I bought it some time ago. I have made some tweaks here and there, but for the most, I haven't had any hydraulic fluid changes, brake fluid changes, battery coolant changes. I mean, these coolants are still there, but I haven't had to change anything. If you think about a regular car, in 40,000 you've probably had several mobile changes and other fluid changes. The one thing that is showing a bit of wear is my front tires. EVs have a lot of torque, and so there are a lot of times where when I was first learning how to drive this car with a lot of torque, I had misjudged the sensitivity of my accelerator pedal and just pushed on it too hard. I'm used to it now, but at the beginning, and so I had a lot of wheel spin. I still do have a lot of wheel spin in situations where I misjudge the amount of torque I need through the accelerator and then the motor on inclinations, or in places where the ground is a bit loose, in the sense it's like dirt and stuff, and so it is there is a bit of degradation on my tire grip in the front two wheels, but it's nothing too out of the ordinary. It's almost time for a tire swap, is what I've been told by the Hyundai mechanics. But yeah, so what a EV maintenance servicing goes like, it really doesn't take a lot of time. There's nothing much to change, at least not that periodically. What happens to me is there's a place where you can connect a tablet, basically an onboard computer, the OVD, I think that's what it's called, and the mechanic engineer basically has a tablet that runs a whole series of tests, like hundreds of tests at a time. And basically what these tests do is they check each individual volt of each battery in the big battery pack underneath your EV. So what they check for are irregularities in temperature and irregularities in voltage. And so basically what it does is it'll run a test to see if it's within the certain range that's been predetermined by, I don't know, battery cell Hyundai engineers elsewhere. And so the test itself takes about like 5 minutes probably. And then the mechanic will tell me, yeah, your battery's okay, yeah, this is okay. I also asked for a state of health, basically what percentage is my battery working at. Like when you buy it brand new, a car, a cell phone, a new battery, it's at 100% state of health. But with a lot of usage, with time, with bad charging habits, battery degradation happens, and instead of getting a battery 2 years later still at 100%, it can drop down to maybe 96%, 94%, I don't know. It really depends on you, your driving, your charging frequencies, your charging habits, and others. So yeah, and then after that test, there is usually a manual inspection of the undercarriage of this car. And so that's like things like brake discs, tire alignments, wheel alignments, if there are any scratches. I usually have a couple of new scratches here and there, and so every time I go for servicing 4 times a year, there is usually a new dent underneath that I too would like to look at, because sometimes, like on the highway, I've had a bit of a badder sort of dent compared to the easier, softer dents I've had undercarriage in the city. So it's that sort of inspection, and then at the end your car is put in a line with all the other cars at the service station for a quick wash, and you are out. So I usually just try to book in the first appointment of the day when I have time, and I am usually out by, if they start at 10, I'm usually out by midday. An hour or 2 is what it takes, but I've also had to sometimes stay in line, and yeah, I don't know why you would overtake from the left on such a big road, and sometimes I've been there longer. But basically that's what servicing an EV is like. At some point I do have to change gear reduction fluids, I do have to change the hydraulic fluids, the battery coolant fluids. I know it is to be changed at some point, but up until 40,000 kilometers of both urban and highway driving, I really haven't had that need, and they also haven't told me that I need to. The coolant prices are a bit more expensive, so there's that, but I think when that comes, because I really haven't spent too much on the car in 40,000, that I'd be willing to change it, because that would mean that the car runs efficiently and smooth. And here's the best part, by the way, about EVs. You know how when you take your petrol car and then you take it for servicing, and then there are lots of like fluids and things changed, and then you come out with a car going home feeling like it's 6 years younger and like better pickup, better gear changes. Yeah, none of that happens in an EV. Sorry to tell you that. However, you take the car, you come out with the car. Yeah, it's pretty sad.